Hey everyone, it's Briar here with Key Aviation, and today we're going to go over a few things to check on your P100 Pros before starting your spray season this year. So as you can see here, we've got a few P100 Pros in. Each of them has a couple of things that they need, so we'll just go over real quick what we can do to have a good, successful spray season. So when we first get a drone in here, we like to get it all unfolded, get a good visual inspection of everything on it, check all the clamps, make sure that they're fitting tight, nothing's binding up, every arm's tight, there's nothing loose here. And then we'll give a look at all the props, make sure there's no chips in them, make sure that everything's spinning freely. And then after that, we'll look into these prop clamps here. So there's a bearing inside of here that this rocks back and forth on, and making sure, give it a good wiggle, make sure there's nothing loose. And these two feel pretty good. Oh, this one's got some play in it here. You can see that's moving separate from the base and the motor. I like to give a spin on every motor, kind of check the bearings in them, make sure they're not tight. They shouldn't really be making any noise, shouldn't be really any resistance in them. And just for a reference here, this is a bad motor. Let's see if we can pick up some of the noises it's making. Another piece to check going along with the blades here are these bushings in between here. So there's two plastic bushings in this prop clamp. And you want to lift up and see if there's any play in that propeller. And this one here looks pretty tight. I'll check this one here. I don't know if you can see that blade's moving right there. So this will need some new bushings. So after we've checked out everything on the outside, we'll like to take off the hood and the cover. So under that black cover, we've got all these connections for the central cable hub. And we'll like to pull all these out. You know, visual inspection, make sure there's no corrosion, none of these seals are torn. We'll go ahead and put those back in. And then all of our ESC connections are right under that. There's a red and a black wire, and those are a very common spot for corrosion to start if they don't get cleaned out properly or just have a long season of wear and tear. And then we'll go ahead to the front here, check all the flight controller connections, make sure none of these wires are rubbing on anything. There's no cracks, everything's tight. Another very commonly overlooked spot on these spray drones are the atomizer discs. So since these are hanging down further than anything else, they're a really easy thing to get hit, bumped, and it'll actually break the fingers on these discs, and then your spray pattern is going to be extremely uneven and inconsistent. So we'll spin those around, make sure that they're free, make sure there's no broken fingers on them. So the last thing to check on the drone itself is actually under these covers on the ends of the arms. So this is where your motor connects to your ESC. And there's these three wires, each are screwed in. I've already taken them out here, and they have a little insulator inside of there. So this is another common spot for them to get hot. They'll start to melt. This one here, you can see in there, it's starting to melt off, and that is pretty common on these P100 Pros for that to get hot, a little bit of resistance, and that should be replaced here. All right, moving on to our tank here. I like to pull them off and flip them over to check out the pumps, make sure none of these hoses have any tears, none of them are leaking. This one's pretty dirty, but that's pretty common on a drone with this many acres. And to check the pumps, we've got 3 screws. One's right down here, and then there's 2 on the top. So we'll pull those off and check the inside. Just for reference, there is 1 long and 2 short 3mm bolts. After those are out, you can just simply pull off the pump. Flip it around here. You see that grease is pretty well gone through. We'll add in some more silicone. We'll actually clean all this out and add some more silicone-based grease in there. But you also want to pull these hoses out, make sure nothing's torn on them, make sure they're not too worn down, they're not stiff, and make sure all of the rollers inside are free as well. All right, the last thing we want to check here is the battery connectors. We want to make sure that there's nothing loose on those, make sure there's no corrosion, And if there is, we'll take some rubbing alcohol and a cotton swab, or maybe a little bit of steel wool if we need to, get them cleaned up. And we'll move on to the batteries, same thing. If you want some of these nice 3D printed handles, you can reach out, we can get you hooked up with some. And we'll go under it. It's gonna be pretty hard to pick up on camera, but you wanna check if there's any bent pins or any of them are burnt out. You can take a little pick or something and bend them back if any of them are bent, or try to get something in there to clean them up if needed. So that pretty much concludes all the major things to check on your P100 Pro before your spray season. I would recommend doing it a few times throughout the season to make sure your drone's in tip-top shape and you can have a successful spray season. If you have any more questions about your P100 Pro or just about any other drone on the market, reach out to Key Aviation and we will get you hooked up.